So we got some peaches right here, and peaches are something that I've been trying to cultivate for quite a few years. I've got this that's pretty small. As you can see, the fruit is actually very small because here's my phone for reference, right? This is my phone, and this is the peaches. So they're pretty small peaches, and I don't know what to do with them. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Coffee Q&A. I'm your host, Jay. We're here on the onocoffee channel doing coffee questions and answers daily, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So welcome to the show. How y'all doing today? So I just got these peaches. So the interesting thing is I normally grow a garden at the shop. So we did it in Hamden, we did it at the roastery, and then now that we don't have the roastery at the moment for the last this past season, I've been growing stuff here at the house. And I harvested these peaches yesterday because they were fully ripe, or I think they're not fully ripe, but they're ripe enough, right? They're there, and I can wait a few days and let it get nice and ripe. But I've had a disaster because I put the tomato plants kind of out in the open, and they've pretty much been eaten over by the deer. So I have I have one tomato. And I was like, so after yesterday, I was looking at the tomatoes. I was like, man, what happened to my tomatoes? So I thought, well, there are these peaches, and I'm surprised nothing has eaten these yet. So I just decided we're just going to strip the whole tree. 9 peaches, not bad, not bad. I think they're a little bit hard. They need a little bit of time. Mom, good morning to you, man. How are you doing? So I just thought I'd share that with you today. But we've got our peaches. Today we'll be talking, because it was, okay, so this past week we've been playing with our coffee liqueur. We've been making this coffee liqueur for the last 3 weeks or so. And as you can see here, sorry, I should have showed it to you before. There's still a little bit of residual sugar here from yesterday. So you still have to shake, shake, shake. And we're trying to get that fully dissolved. It does take a long time because it's a liquor, or it's alcoholic based instead of just water. But like I said before, sugar is what? Hygroscopic. It will fully dissolve into solutions. So but when it's with alcohol, it does take a little bit of time. I made this drink, the drink we worked on last night for the Coffee and Cigars live stream, and it was even better. It was much better than what we made yesterday. But also yesterday, I finally looked at the instructions and rules for the competition, the Cold Brew competition that I was planning to use this for tomorrow, and it's actually tomorrow. And it says, what does it say here? Let me pull it up here. I don't know if you can see this very well, but it says here, please bring, where is it? There was something I noticed here. Coffee to be served, no black, no ice, creamer, or other additions to be provided with the coffee. And this could be interpreted to say, that if we make this in advance, it can be interpreted to say that we're not adding additions. But you know what? This is a fun competition. It's a friendly competition. It's not one that we're trying to win anything. It's just a chance for everyone to get together. And you know what? Why not just stay within the spirit of it? So I figured, let's just make a regular cold brew today to use for tomorrow. So that's the thing. So tomorrow is the Coffee Fest that Vent Coffee Roasters is holding at their facility in the Union Collective here in Baltimore, Maryland. It's on 41st Street, starting at 12. And actually, the whole event runs until like 10 o'clock. They've got a whole bunch of stuff happening. Gosh, I should actually pull that up. I know they're doing a cold brew competition. They're also doing a brewers competition. So you can, if you want to compete, and it's not one of those things where you have to be all practice and you're like super competitive and serious. This is something for this is an event really driven for consumers, for enthusiasts, for people that are just regular people that enjoy coffee. It's not really for professionals, although professionals are involved. We're just kind of hanging out, and there's cocktails, there's all kinds of stuff happening, and I won't be able to stay for the entire day. However, I will be there for a little while. Where is this thing? Why it doesn't my computer doesn't like to log in very well. But anyway, so that's tomorrow all day long, 12 to like 10 p.m. So there's all kinds of stuff. If you go to Vent Coffee Roasters, VENT Coffee Roasters, they have on their website and as well as on their Instagram, they have information about what's going to be happening. What else is happening there? I'm really bad at this because I haven't really. Okay, so they've got coffee. So they will have coffee. Here's the. I know it's really small here, but coffee tastings, roasting demonstrations. There's a Brewers Cup. That's the Brewers Competition that you can enter in if you want. The Cold Brew Competition that we're doing. They're going to have the Ethiopian coffee ceremony. So they'll be showing you how to make the coffee. Do I have one here? I guess not. They'll be showing you how to make coffee in the traditional Ethiopian style, where they roast the coffee over fire, and then they put it into the I can't remember the name of the brewing device, but the black ceramic kettle where they cook the coffee and then prepare it for you. It's a really wonderful experience to see if you haven't tried it yet. And then there's a latte art throwdown if you want to throw down latte art. There's coffee cocktails, coffee ice cream, beer, whiskey, and more. So lots of interesting stuff to check out this weekend or tomorrow at Vent Coffee Roasters if you have the time. I'll be there from like 12 to 2, maybe 12 to 3. Who knows? But I'll be there in the early part of the day. So if you can come down and join us. All right. So what are we going to do? We're going to make cold brew. And so how are we going to make cold brew? We're going to use I had to get a bit of it. So I went to our facility and ground up some coffee, put it into a container, and here it is. So very coarsely ground. I ground this in if you're interested, I ground this at full coarse in what's called a Grindmaster 875 grinder. It's a commercial coffee grinder that's fairly good, and especially for this really nice. Oh, a nice toasty, warm chocolate aromas, nutty. This is the Perla Negra from Spro, and we're going to be using this. And there's actually 3/4 of a pound. This is actually This is a 1 gallon Cambrotainer, and I'm just going to fill it with water. So it's really simple. So, making cold brew is overall very simple. I do have a really great device if you want to make cold brew at home. Is something called the Toddy, and Toddy makes a home version that has a carafe, that has a container to steep the coffee. And we're just going to steep the coffee overnight with the water. Just really simple. You don't have to give it too much. You want to do a ratio of about 1 pound to 1 gallon. Since this is a gallon container, we're going to use less than a gallon. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to basically, put the water in, let it steep overnight. Tomorrow morning, I will strain it all out, and then this will create a concentrated brew that we will then cut with water to bring it to what we call RTU, or ready to use. So I'll probably add, set up 3/4 of a pound will give us 1.5 gallons of coffee. And so at the event, they just asked us to serve samples of 1 ounce. They'll give us little cups, or just 1 ounce cups to people, let them taste it. They can drink as much as they want. And then they'll vote on whatever they like. So we only need maybe 2 gallons at the most. So I'm making 1.5 gallons. Now, when it comes to brewing coffee, water is always a question. So I also grabbed some of the water that we use at Spro. I keep some of it in. So this is really Baltimore City's tap water that we filter through our own filtration system. And why we use this tap water is because as I've tested the water over the last 20 years in different facilities, the water, as far as being ideal for coffee preparation, is almost perfectly ideal. There is one, I always forget the parameter. There's one parameter that is like 0.05 ppm, parts per million, that is just slightly out of the specification that the Specialty Coffee Association gives for the ideal coffee water. And, some people, and, depending where you are in the world, like if you're in New York City, you're hosed. If you're in Florida, you're hosed. In some parts of the country, you're really hosed because the water can be too hard or too soft. And, my friends in those places have to, do all kinds of formulations. They use reverse osmosis to strip their water hopefully completely clean, and then they add minerals to the water to balance it out to make the ideal. Where Baltimore, we're very lucky in that they actually have really fantastic water for coffee brewing. Like New York City, very hard water, very good, I guess, for like baking, not so good for coffee, or so they say. Although I am one person that kind of believes in exploring the differences in water quality or just water sources, right? Actually, that's something we'll be doing in a future episode at some point. I've been collecting some waters from different parts of the country to test out or just to brew it and see what does it really taste like and how does it differ from what we're using. So here we are. The nice thing about this container is that it's graduated. Right? It's graduated, so it's easy to know. We're just going to fill it up. And turn it on and just let it roll. Let it roll. Oh, that's not terrible. That's not visually stimulating, is it? All right, so exciting. Coffee is terribly exciting. This is typically the most exciting part of my day at the shops. Now, what we also want to do is, as you can see, it's not getting all wet, so we want to make sure that we want to go around just like when we brew the coffee. We want to make sure that all the water is saturated. So the basics of toddy style brewing or cold brewing is that you're just taking water and you're taking coffee and you're steeping them together for quite a period of time, maybe 8 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours, depending on your taste, depending what you like. And really, this is all you need. Like this is not very complicated equipment. And if you want to make cold brew at home, you don't want to have a grinder. I mean, I would just go to your local roaster, find a coffee that you want to use for cold brew, ask them to brew it like for French press, and then do this. It doesn't have to be so complicated. It can be very, very simple to make a cold brew or to make coffee in general. Like some people like to take the cold brew and then heat it up, if you want to use a steam one on your espresso machine, that's one way to do it. Okay, we're going to stop here so that it doesn't get too full. I can just turn it over. Yeah, I just turned it over and it was already stopped flowing. All right, so that's not a full gallon, but that's all right because we're just steeping it to make it concentrate, and then we're going to strain it in the morning and then take that concentrate and then dilute it with more water. And one of the reasons that I also wanted to use the water from the shop is that the water at Vent is, of course, Baltimore's water supply. So we're going to have relatively the same water source and the same water so that I won't be mixing water sources, right? So if I use the bottled water that we use here at the house, that's a slightly different formulation than what Baltimore has. So I'll just fill it up at Vent and then be fine with it. So now we just kind of take the lid, put it on top, and yeah, done. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one now. So now we'll just put this on the side. And if you're good practice, if you're having just to label your containers so that at least you know what it is. And even though I've got this one container, I still put the label, I still put the date. It's just part of it's just habit, but also part of it is like you never know what's going to happen, and then you always forget. Like this, I haven't labeled this yet. I really need to label that. I will. Maybe I'll do that a little bit after the show today. But always label your stuff. It's good practice. And if you're like me, you think it looks cool. And also, I like to do the scissor thing. I don't like to. Man, I don't really like the other way. Like when it's like people are tearing it. Gosh, that just makes me irritated. All right, so what is this going to taste like? Let's find out. We're going to take the same coffee, the Perla Negra. We're going to we're gonna brew it up a little bit because I do need to brew a little bit of coffee here. Peter says 15 minutes to morning. 15 minutes to morning. I think I'm missing the reference. My apologies. All right, so we're going to take this coffee. Now this one I'm just going to brew like a normal coffee. Okay, let's put that there, and then we're going to get our grinder. Now remember, we're going to make it. Oh no, we're going to brew in our ODZ, so we want it to be medium ground. So that's important. A little bit oily on the beans. Have to push this one a little bit longer. Oh, I see. 15 minutes in the morning. Not quite being understood. Well, I'm certainly glad that you spend the time with us so late in your evening. We're almost there. Yesterday was interesting. Like I always appreciate you guys spending the time with me here on these live streams because otherwise I'm not some kind of crazy person talking by myself to a camera. But I watch my own. Like I follow a bunch of other YouTubers as well, and enjoy having live streams of them. I was watching Jessica Lee yesterday morning. There's a creator in the Philippines by the name of Jessica Lee. She had a live stream. I was watching her, and then typically I'll watch these other YouTubers. One is Jem Schofield, who runs a channel called the C47. That's all about production, and typically video, television production. And then I also watch live streams from Heather Just Create. She's this creator, Heather Ramirez. She has a channel. She actually does live stream Friday afternoons. Her and her husband, Tom Buck, I follow them, and they have little communities as well that we all engage in. It's always very enjoyable. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our ODZ. Now, this is not the ODZ that we've been using lately. I wanted to give some love to our original ODZ. Thank you very much, Q&A, for sending this to me. This is the blue ODZ. The first one we got. Look at that. So nice. So this porcelain is such a nice little brewer. So I thought we'd brew with the ODZ. Right, look at that. And then later, Keone sent me the Monet. This is actually a clear filter. And you're supposed to take the paper off, right, and make it clear. But I'm not going to do that till we get to the shop. But it's nicely cut out so that it sits. The grooves sit in there. So it's really, really quite a nice brew. Okay, let's get this. We're going to put that here. Put this here. Oh, turn the water back on. Heat it back up. We need a timer. We need filters, origami filters. We're going to use that origami today. I was a little bit concerned that maybe it's a little bit too small. Yeah, it's probably a little bit too small. Whatever. I'm gonna go for it. Maybe it's not too small. Maybe it is. Shake, shake, shake. Level it out. Get our stuff turned on. All right, we've got good boil on our water. Now, for this particular purpose, the water I'm using today is not the normal bottled water we use here on the show, here at the house. I'm actually using the same water. That way we have a little bit more of a apples to apples comparison so we know what to expect, or just kind of give us an idea of what it's going to taste like. All right, so here we go. Let us brew. Oops. All right, 50 grams, more or less. I noticed that part of this is like the height difference between the counters that I normally work on at the shops versus the height of this bar top. And also, I think that the infrequency now that I brew, like even though we're brewing coffee almost regularly, daily, I'm starting to feel like I don't have as much control as I used to because I'm not making coffee as frequently. Like, we're making lots of coffees a day, whereas here, now in my old age, we're making like one. So this time I'm just kind of like, making it hydrated. I'm going a little bit fast. We're 162 on only a minute 20. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just going. I don't necessarily think that you need to follow a certain pattern. I think what really is important is to keep the coffee hydrated. I do try not to pour down at the edges like that because I think that you don't get as much effect. Although that even as I say it, that sounds kind of like bunk science or questionable science, should I say. All right, we're on 2 minutes, 2 minutes here, 2:31. So like I said, we're going a little bit faster than normal. I don't know. I feel like going. I feel like I want to go faster. Like I feel at the moment like I don't care. I think it's because I'm waiting for donuts. I was at my bakery today, at the donut shop. Well, they're not their bakery, but they make donuts. Really great donuts. A place called Simon's here in Cockeysville. And I've been curious. I said to the girl, I said, "Hey, can you guys do special orders? Like, could I order these donuts and have them on like the jelly filled donuts? Can I have the jelly filled donut that like no filling and no glazing, just totally plain and naked? Is that something I could special order from you guys?" And they're like, "Yeah. How many days? How much do you need?" And I was like, "Oh, maybe like 2-3 days." I was like, "Okay, good." I might call them back after this to order some for Wednesday because I've been thinking, I was like, if I want to do some experiments with donuts, but I don't want to make the donut, like making donuts really kind of is a pain. If you just want to play around and test some like flavor ideas, you have to make the dough, you have to let it rise, you have to do it all right just to get the right thing. And these guys are pumping out donuts. So I was like, well, and they make really great donuts. So I just figured, why don't I just have them make my donuts? They do the hard part, and then I can do the easy part of filling it. So if you look on the main channel, or we are the main channel. If you look on the channel, there's a video that I have from Saudi Arabia from a few years ago that is a visit to see Ahmed Baha, the champion of Saudi Arabia. And he was at the time, he was working at a place called Pause Coffee Roasters. And it was my visit to Pause, and he had this donut, this filled donut that was filled with Nutella, had a olive oil glaze, and za'atar topping. And I was like, that is just fabulous. It was really delicious. And I've just been thinking about it. It's been like 2-3 years. I'm still thinking about this donut. I was thinking, why don't I recreate that? And so I wanted to try recreating it. All right, let's have a look here. Here is our lovely coffee. Beautiful elixir. Let's use our mug. It's a little bit darker than I normally roast it on this thing. Right? I normally don't roast the coffee this dark. But for this batch, I wanted to go a little bit more. The customer that ordered this batch of coffee was like, "Can you make it a little bit darker?" I was like, "All right, get a little bit more bitterness." So there's a little more bitterness And that bitterness is a little bit pronounced, but I think it'll be okay. And the reason I want to use this was to get an idea of what this may taste like, but also I went to that donut shop. I went to the bakery. And I thought, you know what? Let's have some donut. So they make a really beautiful raised donut. Very classic. This is very classic Americana kind of donut. Nothing. It's not like fanciful, like modern times. There's a lot of fanciful donuts now in the world. A lot of fancy bakeries doing like really like crafty stuff. This is like old school craft. This is where this is just old school, like old school. And then they had this one that was like, it was just like, look at this. It's cascading with the stuff. And I was like, oh, can I have that one that's cascading? And the girl was like, what are you talking about? It's like the one that's like falling over. I was like, it's rolling over. And then they had this other thing that I was like, oh, like this is an old school American donut shop, a bakery, like old school. And then they had this, and I was like, what is this new? And she's like, yeah, we just started, a couple months ago. And I was like, what? They do almond croissants. So I bought this also to give a try and see what it's like. But yeah, there it is. The Simon's Bakery here in Baltimore, Cockeysville, not too far from where I live. So I figured let's do a little taste. Let's actually have a look at the crumb. Like they have a really nice crumb. The glaze looks nice. Look at that. The crumb is good. Right, nice, fluffy, airy. Huh? The glaze is nice and solid. Not crunchy or anything, but oh. Yeah, there it is. That's what I was thinking. It's like we got a little bit extra bitterness on the coffee, but when you pair it with something like this, that's really sweet. That's good. Now let's have a look at their almond croissant, this is something really interesting because they do like a croissant. They've done that for a croissant for a long time, but it's really a basic, I guess what you really think of like an American bakery croissant. Nothing really, it doesn't look that great. It looks okay. This looked kind of interesting. And I was like, oh, you know what? I might as well try this because I love almond donut. I mean, I love almond croissant. So let's see, because it's brand new. And I was like, oh, brand new. Let's try something new. It's a little bit more, it's not quite formed like a typical almond croissant. There's a almond filling. Let's say all the almonds are falling off. Darn it. All right, so there's the interior. Losing all the almonds. Terrible. Oh. Nice almond paste flavor. The texture is actually, the laminate is actually kind of nice. Soft. I like the softer croissants rather than the ones that are really like less glassine, that break up and you get shards of like laminate everywhere. I like this style more. I would like a little more structure, but I think overall, that's perfectly fine. Getting it all over my shirt too. All right, so let's have a look here now. The last one. This is their chocolate. I mean, the crumb's going to be about the same as the glaze because it is the same donut. They're just putting the chocolate frosting and then the sprinkles. All right, that's not bad. That's pretty good. So, what am I saying? I enjoy this. All right, well, there it is. A little bit of coffee, a little bit of donuts. We got some cold brew ready for tomorrow. So if you have the time, come down to Vent Coffee Roasters here in Baltimore, 41st Street from 12. If you come to 12 to 2 is when the cold brew competition is, and you get to try the coffee yourself. It's free for attendees, so it's not, you don't have to worry about coming down. And then there's coffee events all day long. So it'll be a real nice time. So if you have the time, come join us. Lejean says, those are amazing pieces. Yeah, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. I love them. And Peter says the almond croissant. Yeah, the almond croissant. Surprising. Surprising. I wasn't expecting it to be this kind of nice. All right, so come join us tomorrow if you can. If not, be back again on Monday with more coffee Q&A. So hope you have a wonderful weekend. And yeah, what are we doing this weekend? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right, that's pretty much it. So hope you have a wonderful weekend. And see you next time.